Hey guys, what's up? This week I'm going to do a review of the 4 movies Chris Farley made. Um, Chris Farley was one of those, to me, a rare comedic talent. We lost him too soon. I have all 4 of his films, and believe me, they were very hard to find, especially Beverly Hills Ninja and Alma Tears. They were very, very hard to find. Just looking at his body of work from 95 to 98, I happen to like all the films. I think they're all great. His first film, Tommy Boy, really, kind of made him made him a big name as far as in movies, and you thought he would have a big career after this. It's a funny movie. I mean, this movie is funny. It's probably the most quotable of all the films in the series of Chris Farley's. And of course the big names it's in. Rob Lowe's in this. Dan Aykroyd's in this. Brian Dennehy. Of course, this is the first of the 2 pairings he had with David Spade, who, sad to say, seemed like after Chris Farley died, David Spade didn't really amount to much. But Tommy Boy set the groundwork. This movie's funny. I mean, you'll hear people quote this movie from time to time, and it's just it's probably the funniest of the whole series. Of course, the second one, which a lot of people consider to be the sequel to Tommy Boy's Black Sheep. I like this film as well. It came out in '96. It's funny. I mean, it's just as funny as Tommy Boy. I mean, it don't have as many memorable lines, but it is just as funny. Got a lot of great comedy and a lot of great moments. And you forget Gary Busey's in this. You forget that. It's like, he's in this movie. And oh, Gary Busey. But I enjoy it real well. And these are movies I can put in and watch any time of the day and stuff. They're just great comedic films. Of course, we have Beverly Hills Ninja, which is one of the most rare and hard to find movies I've ever seen. I got real lucky one day at FYE and was just walking around at FYE and seen there sitting on the shelf, $9, Beverly Hills Ninja. I was like, hell to the yeah. Because anywhere else you try to buy this, it's like $50. I've seen this movie anywhere else, it's it's expensive. And, I had to get it because it's Chris Farley, it's Beverly Hills Ninja, it's funny. It has a lot of funny lines in it. Probably one of the funniest scenes in this movie is where Chris Farley's telling Nicolette Sheridan, he goes, "You close your eyes and turn around, count to 10, and when you turn around, I'll be gone." And he can't find a place to hide. He's too fat to find a place to hide. And he jumps through the wall. He just jumps through the wall, and she turns around and can't find him. He walks back up to the door, and he burns the scroll that's the complete lineage and history of the. It's just, I swear, he's just a mess in this, and it's just so funny. Of course, his final film that he did as the main star was Almost Heroes, which is the most rare film of this series. It's harder to find than any of the other films. It took me forever to find this film. And it ain't cheap neither. So it's the most expensive one I bought. All them films I bought from between $5 to $10. This one was about $15. I don't really like Matthew Perry. I never liked Friends. I thought that show was stupid. I didn't like Matthew Perry, so I don't like him in this. But I will say he plays pretty good off of Chris Farley's craziness. And the thing about this, though, is if you know the history of Chris Farley and the history of drug abuse he had, you can kind of tell watching this one. You can kind of tell he's kind of, you know, like really battling it really big. Like in the other movies, you know, you never knew he was on cocaine, which you had to be that wired up all the time. And in this one, you can kind of tell that the drugs are taking their toll on him because he looks bigger. His voice is a lot gruffier, so you can kind of tell it's, you know, his voice is a lot more gruffier, and you know, he just don't look. He looks bad. You can tell in certain scenes that he's kind of baked out of his mind. You know, he's a little bit. You know, the drugs are kind of a little bit. You know, because certain scenes you can tell. But overall, I remember when this movie came out in '98. It's a funny movie. I mean, this is absolutely probably my second favorite of all of Chris Farley's films, mainly because I like anything that's got to do with westerns, and this is technically a western. And it's just so funny with, you know, his banter, his back and forth with Matthew Perry, who's trying to be the straight man, and let Farley be the comedian. And it's one of those films that just, he gives an underrated performance. And I mean, to me, it's an underrated performance as far as his other ones. Like I said, though, you can kind of tell in certain scenes in this movie the effect that the drugs he was taking had on him, because there are certain scenes where he kind of, you know, you're like, okay, you know, he's being funny, but it's kind of like, okay, you know, and his voice sounds different. All the other movies, he's just got his, you know, that voice, you know, his voice is unmistakable. In this one, though, it's kind of a lot gruffer and a lot rougher. And you're kind of like, okay, you know, what's wrong with his voice? You know, is he, you know, he's not trying to put on a character because he uses the same voice no matter who he's playing. And in this one, you know, it's noticeable. You know, his, you know, he's been changed due to the fact that he took a lot of drugs over here and abused them, and he's pretty big in this. I mean, he was a big guy anyway, but to me, in this one, he's overweight in a bad way. He's not overweight. You know, he's overweight in this one because the drugs are starting to, you know, and he just don't look like his normal self. And to me, that was unfortunate because we lost Chris Farley not long after this movie was made. But overall, if you grew up when I did, Chris Farley was the comedian of the '90s. You know, him and Jim Carrey. If you grew up when I did, it was, you know, Farley. You know, I'm a Farley guy over a Jim Carrey guy. I mean, I like Jim Carrey, but Chris Farley's way funnier. Where, you know, these 4 films, Chris Farley, they're all 4 funny. Every one of them are funny. You know, Chris Farley's hilarious in all of them. You know, whereas guys like Jim Carrey and them have hit or misses in some of their movies. I would say that my favorite of the whole series probably would be Almost Heroes. Of course, Tommy Boy to me is the most quotable. You can quote this movie all the time, and it is the more popular of the 4. But I like Almost Heroes because it's a western, and because it was a lot harder. It took a lot to find this movie. But I want to hear from you guys. You know, leave your comments below and tell me what's your favorite movie of these 4. What's your favorite Chris Farley film of these? Which one of these, which these aren't technically the Chris Farley movies, which one? You know, which one's your favorite? You know, what's your, you know, what do you like about them? I would like, you know, now there is a Blu-ray release of these 2, and I probably will get it, but I'm hoping that they'll come out with a Blu-ray release of these 2, because everybody wants that Blu-ray release. But, you know, rate and subscribe, you know, and please leave your comments. Like I said, let me know which Chris Farley film is your favorite. You know, I'm partial to Almost Heroes, but, you know, I can like all 4 of them equally because they're all funny. And, you know, of course, this is the one that most everybody judges these by, which each one of them has their own magical quality about them. And Tommy Boy is the one that you can quote more than the rest of them. So, that's just my thoughts and opinions on the Chris Farley movies. Leave your comments below. Let me know yours. And we'll see you later.